next guest. As soon as we announced that Kaitlin Bennett was going to be joining us, a lot of negativity, a lot of people saying, why are you giving her this platform? Why are you bringing her in? Here's the thing. Kaitlin has a platform already. She has 160,000 Twitter followers.
Overall, if you combine all of my social media, it's over 300,000. If you add into his, we reach millions of people every week.
I was going to say, you had a video posted less than 10 days ago that had about 12 million views, so you already have a platform.
Yeah.
She already has a platform. We wanted to bring her in because she is in Northeast Ohio. She's in our community. Whether you agree with her or disagree with her, she's a newsmaker. She's been covered by everybody from the Washington Post to the local news. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to bring her in, have a nice civil discussion, and take your questions for her. But I'm going to start us off with a question. I want to go back to kind of what started this all for you, that photo. Mm-hmm. What was it about gun rights that made you feel so passionate about, I'm going to take this photo? And you knew that you were going to get a reaction out of it, but you did it anyway.
Yeah, so my school, Kent State, where I went to college, is super liberal. They push gun control in their classes. The students there, the prominent clubs are very liberal, left-leaning, and they push gun control as well. And as soon as David Hogg became a thing, I saw a lot of students demanding gun control everywhere, all across campuses, high school, college, it doesn't matter. So I said, where's my side? Where's the people who think like me? Why aren't we doing anything about it? So I said, well, if no one's going to do anything, I will. I'll take it upon my shoulders to do it. I organized an open carry event with someone from Cincinnati named Jeff Smith, and we had about 50 armed people in April before I graduated, just on campus talking to students about gun rights. And then that kind of really didn't drive the point home to these people that I wasn't going away and that wasn't the last thing I was doing. So I said, I'm graduating, I'm going to go out with a bang, and I certainly did. I did not expect it to get as much attention as it did. I only wanted the administration to look at it and listen to me. That's what I wanted, and they did. They did listen to me. Whether or not it was giving them the right thoughts, that's up to them. They don't like me anyway, so I mean, it was to get my point across, and I think it did that.
Let's get to that point. Mm-hmm. You obviously are very pro-gun, but where is the line? When you hear gun control legislation, what does that make you think? What would, in a perfect world, if you were running the situation, where would those lines be drawn?
No gun control at all.
No gun control at all?
No background checks, no restrictions. If the government can have it, if the military can have it, we should be able to have it. There is no reason why the government that forces us to pay taxes through violence, it forces laws that are unjust upon us. There's no reason why they should have this heavy artillery and this heavy equipment and all this firepower to make us do whatever we want. Our country was founded because only 3% of the nation decided to go against Great Britain and their coercive government. So that's the principle that the Second Amendment is based on. We should be able to rise up and revolt against a tyrannical government. If they have weapons that we aren't allowed to have, how can we ever do that? And that's what the government wants, to make sure that we can't fight against them.
So there's no line at all? I mean, you think that someone like me, I can go like to the tank store and buy a tank, or how about nuclear weapons? Do you think that there should be a line anywhere?
No.
Just anybody can grab anything?
If the government can have it to potentially use it against us, we should be able to use it against them to protect ourselves. And I know that's radical, and I can see from your face that you're like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? But the point is, if when we were declaring our independence from Great Britain, if we didn't have the same weapons that they had, how can only 3% of the nation claim our independence for us? It's just so telling. So it doesn't matter that technology has increased. You don't need permission to get on Twitter and use Twitter to practice your free speech. You shouldn't need permission to practice your Second Amendment right.
So let's be clear. I'm going to be very clear. I'm not ignoring her at all, but this is how I'm going to get their questions to you. So I want to do a little check here and see what type of questions we're getting, but I also forgot to do this clap. So we have about 5 cameras going, so I want to make sure that we get them all synced up here. So 1, 2, 3. So they're all synced up now. Okay, so let me get to some questions that are coming in. So should parents be held responsible if their children get a hold of their guns and cause a shooting? That comes from Cooper.
I think, yes, absolutely. Their parents should be held responsible if they do anything wrong. I'm not saying that everybody should have guns. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that everybody should have access to them. So when I say no gun control, I mean no government regulated gun control. But private businesses like this store behind me, they should have restrictions on their private sales. That's what I mean. So when you go into that store,
background checks?
If a private store wants to do background checks, absolutely, that's fine. It just should not be government regulated, because that's such a slippery slope. Because, you know, the government can go in and say, well, here, we're going to legalize weed for people who have a medical condition, and then they'll be like, and on top of that, you now lose your Second Amendment rights because you need cannabis or weed or something like that for an illness that you have. That's how they play you. They do not want you to be armed, and I think everybody just doesn't understand that.
I want to go back to Kent State real quick. Was there ever a time that you felt threatened, or, because, I mean, historically, very safe campus. It's top, I think, first in Ohio with less or over 10,000 students, 25th in the nation. But did you have a different kind of, I guess, experience on Kent State?
Me and all my friends did, absolutely. I did have an incident on campus where I was involved in something along the lines of a sexual assault. I don't get into it. I don't play that card as to why we should have guns on campus or why women should protect themselves. But, you know, Kent State put up flyers saying that 1 in 5 women will be sexually assaulted on campus. And then they look at those same women and they say, well, you're going to be sexually assaulted, but you have nothing to protect yourself. They even limit what kind of pepper spray you can have. So I was personally affected by something with that. There was one point where I got death threats because I espoused conservative viewpoints on campus. I went to student conduct and I sat in front of the girl who sent them to me, and they said there's nothing they could do about it. Why is it that when I take the necessary approaches that the school tells me I have to take to report these people, nothing's done about it, and I'm unable to protect myself? It was super scary walking around that campus without any means of self-defense other than pepper spray and my keys. And I think it's insulting that the school would look at me and just say, your life doesn't matter enough that we will afford you the right to self-defense.
You talked a little bit about death threats. What do you get now? Give me an idea, like positive to negative reaction. You're obviously, I mean, it's a very polarized country, and you're on one side of it. And you're getting a lot of reaction with Twitter, Facebook. What is it, percentage-wise breakdown? What do you typically see when you post something?
Facebook is about 90% positive. Instagram, it depends on if a liberal finds my page and then they tag me, and my engagements will go from 20,000 Instagram page visits to 70,000 in a day. And it'll be, I'm gonna kill your white family, you're a white POS, you should shoot yourself, you know, link up with me, I'll take care of you. It's disgusting.
How do you deal with that?
Well, my boyfriend and I actually have a game. So we will go through it and we'll try to select which hate mail will have a certain word in it, because they all use, am I allowed to cuss? Am I allowed to cuss on here?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so they like to say the word head ass. I don't know what it means. I don't know what that means at all, but we have a game where we go through and try to find the comment and the message that says head ass. So we make a game out of it. There comes a point after 7 months of the same insults and the same death threats, it doesn't affect me anymore, and I don't care. So while they're still doing this, half the time I don't read them. I don't go back on my Twitter and read comments. So if anybody's out there leaving mean comments on my Twitter trying to get my reaction, I don't read them. So I post what I want to say. I'm me. I'm 100% unfiltered me, and I go on with my day. I don't obsess over it.
I want to get to a couple more questions here. Twin Super wants to know who your biggest role models and how they have impacted your life.
My biggest role models. One would be my dad. I thought when I was growing up he was too hard on me, but now I realize that because of how he raised me is to be a strong woman and to kind of be humble about yourself, but also don't take any crap from anybody. That's why I am where I am now. And he tells me all the time, he's like, I don't know where you got this from. And I'm like, I got it from you. We act the same. We say the same stuff. We don't care what anybody thinks. So my dad is definitely a big role model to me. But also, if we're thinking about bigger, I guess, conservative figures, I really like Steven Crowder because he does the same thing. He doesn't take any crap from anybody. I would say my boyfriend Justin is a role model to me because he kind of pushes me to keep going.
That's a nice
no
drop
matter
in
what.
that he's standing in the room.
Yeah, he is standing in the room. Yeah, I don't go anywhere without him. So, yeah.
Kind of a good segue here. So this is from Samantha, who wants to know, do you think it's appropriate to shove a microphone in a child's face and follow them around with questions about abortion and murder? So this is for people that haven't seen, you made this video where you went to people and it was about abortion rights. Take me to your viewpoint here.
Well, I want to ask Samantha, do you think it's appropriate to misrepresent a video and then ask a misleading question like that? That's not appropriate, Samantha. But furthermore, I think it's absolutely appropriate to tell little girls that are being brainwashed by their fathers to support abortion when they're 6 years old. It is absolutely appropriate to tell that little girl the truth. I have no apologies. I will not apologize for telling a little girl the truth that abortion is murder.
But would you see, I mean, you said your dad was one of your role models.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a parent myself. I mean, do you see from the side of a parent, like no matter even if they agreed with your side or not, maybe they were a little bit, you know, on the fence about someone coming up and putting a microphone in their kid's face.
Well, I didn't put a microphone in the kid's face. The kid approached me, and she wanted to talk to me because I had a microphone. Her dad actually looked at her and pointed at me and my friend and said, "Don't turn out like those idiots. Don't turn out like them. Those people are crazy." And when I started filming, before I started filming, he actually looked at her, bent down, and did it again. Was like, "Those people are crazy. They don't stand for your rights." I don't remember what the little girl's name was, but that's when I actually held the microphone up to him and wanted him to say it in the microphone. And then his little girl turned around and I was like, "You know what? I'm going to tell her the truth. I'm going to tell her the truth." I didn't mean to use that footage until he said that he would murder me. So I think it's super funny that more people were upset that I engaged with a child when she was in a setting in public around women yelling vulgar things about the president and conservatives and people with Make America Great Again hats on. What I think is more troubling is that I never told a little girl that I would murder her or abort her. Her father said that he would murder me. And all people are taking away from that is that I put a microphone up to a little girl. That just shows the state of our political climate in this country, is that abortion is such a touchy subject that if a man says that abortion is a right for a woman to have, they're going to stand with him. And it's funny that liberals want to call out toxic masculinity, but that was okay for him to say he would murder me. And I don't care what people think. I told the little girl the truth, and she needed to hear it.
I think what most people probably had the issue with is the kid. A lot of parents,
sure
they can relate to being a parent, and you just would do anything for your child.
Then I would disavow that man even having her there in the first place. You don't use your child as a political prop. That's disgusting. I mean, if I had a kid, I wouldn't take her to gun rights. I don't advocate for anybody to take their kids to any type of march. I think it's gross. Don't use your kid as a prop.
I want to move on to kind of that video, and there's other videos that you do. When you go out and do these, they're very man on the street, and I'm going to put my mic and let's talk. What's your goal there? Is it to have like a very like civilized, are you trying to change that person's mind, or is it to get a reaction? Is it to get some attention to maybe a subject that you want to get attention to?
I want to expose these people. I want to expose them for how intolerant they are. When I'm going out doing man on the street interviews, my intention is to get their opinion. If they give me a crazy opinion and they say something crazy, like I interviewed a guy Saturday, which would be 2 days ago, who said that he thinks the kids from the Covington Catholic High School deserve to be shot up. He would not disavow the death threats against their life. So I go out there to get their opinion, and I ask them for consent before I do these videos, unless they're yelling at me. Then I'm going to put the microphone up and say it to the microphone, say it to the camera, let me put it out there. If you're going to be so hateful, I'm going to expose the intolerant left for who they really are. Intolerant. They're disrespectful and they're nasty. So I go out there with the intention of getting their opinion and putting it out there for people to listen to. I don't debate them. Usually I don't debate them unless they're calling for people to be shot up. Then I will debate them and I will expose them. But I give them the chance to get their opinion out, and if they don't want to do it, then that's fine.
You go back a year ago, you're getting, what was it, a biology
Yeah.
degree from Kent State? Now you're traveling all over making these. I mean, is that a job for you? Is that 10 years? Is this what you want to do? Or is it
That
kind of a
would
pivot
be-
point to politics? What's your end game here?
Well, when I was in school, I decided halfway through my college education that I didn't want to do biology. I didn't want to do that. I got passionate about politics because of Trump and everything surrounding there, and I saw firsthand on college campuses how conservatives are treated. So I wanted to be the person that gave everybody else a voice who felt like they couldn't stand up for Trump or for gun rights or for capitalism. Got involved with an organization that ended up not really fitting my type of conservatism, so I left and I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And I was like, I'll just do me, I'll do my own thing. And that's what happened. I broke away from this org that controlled me and controlled what they wanted me to say, to saying whatever I wanted, and it worked. And ultimately, my goals still planned out that I wanted to be involved in politics when I graduated. I didn't drop out of college because I didn't want to be a college dropout. I still love biology, I love science, I love animals, but I'm so glad doing what I'm doing.
Is there a pivot point that you want to run for an office?
No.
No.
No, I think politicians are corrupt.
Okay.
Yeah.
And right now, I mean, you're going city to city. Is that who's paying for that? How do you make money off of this?
I have a Patreon where people who support my activism fund it. They fund my trips. They fund everything that I do. And so thanks to all my patrons who are watching, if you're watching this, but they support me from that. And then also, obviously, I have a job with InfoWars, so yeah.
Let's get to some more questions here. And a lot of people are actually asking about InfoWars, so let's go to there. Alex Jones, controversial figure.
Yeah.
Do you kind of align with everything he says, or he's just a boss, he has his opinion, I have mine? And how did they discover you, or did you reach out to them?
So, your first question, do I agree with everything Alex Jones says? No. And he loves that. He does not want everybody at InfoWars to be an echo chamber. He wants people with different opinions putting out there. As long as we're exposing the deep state and going against the state and the government and exposing them, he's all for it. So we can have differing opinions, and I think that's super important. How I got involved with them is that when I was going around doing man on the street interviews, Millie Weaver from InfoWars asked me to come along with her a couple times, and I was like, oh yeah, like Millie's cool, that's awesome, InfoWars. And then they realized that I do exactly what they do. We're kind of the same, we believe in the same thing, so eventually they asked me to come on board, part of the team, and I said yes.
Let's get to some more questions here. I'm going to look down through. I apologize.
That's okay.
This is a weird way to do an interview, but it's kind of cool.
I do ask me anythings all the time on my Facebook. So
okay.
Yeah.
This is from Troy. Do you think President Trump will get his border wall, and do you think he'll win in 2020?
I think he will get his border wall. I don't know if anybody's been keeping up with it, but he reopened the government temporarily, and he basically said you have until February 15th to get your crap together, and if you don't, he alluded to declaring a national emergency, and he's going to build the wall. And I think he said something about drafting it for $7 billion, which is more than he was asking for in the first place. I think he's going to build his wall because he won't win in 2020 if he doesn't. His base voted for him because of the wall. We would chant, build the wall at his rallies. That's what his supporters want.
Do you think that sets a bit of a dangerous precedent by a president being able to declare a state of emergency to get something done for future presidents to be able to do that?
Yeah, I think that is kind of a gray area, but if you look at what's happening at the border, I do think it's a national emergency. I mean, 4,000 Americans are killed every year due to illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants who are deported 8 times are coming back and raping and killing people in America. They are sex trafficking across the border, and it's affecting Americans. Regardless, I think it's hilarious how we will fund foreign countries for their border wall to protect them, and we will fund a border wall to protect our oil over in the Middle East, but we won't fund a border wall to protect Americans. A lot of liberals say if gun control can even save one person, why don't we do it? Well, if a border wall can save even just one American, why don't we do it? Let's use their own same logic against them.
This is from Bo. Do you think convicted criminals should be allowed to own guns?
It depends on the definition of criminal, which is, again, where that line draws. So there are felons. So if you are a felon, you can't have a gun. There are non-violent felons that may just have drug charges. I believe in ending the drug war. I think every single drug should be legal. I think that would solve a lot of gun crime, actually. I think it's 80% of gun homicides and gun violence that happens is drug related. We won't talk about that. I think as right-wingers, as Republicans, I'm not a Republican, but Republicans...
What do you consider yourself?
I consider myself a libertarian. A right-wing libertarian, because there's libertarian parties all... I'm not part of the Libertarian Party. They're all over the place, so I don't align with that, but I have to specify that I'm a right-wing libertarian because I believe in, a closed border and capitalism. There are some libertarians that believe in socialism. I don't know how that happened, but it's there. But I think as Republicans, we need to recognize if you support gun rights, you also need to support drug reform and legalizing drugs, because that would end half of the problem.
Okay, let's get to some more questions here. Why do you think federal workers don't have real jobs? Do you care if they get paid? So
no, I don't.
Does this go to something you said on?
Yes, so everybody got mad at me because I said that if they are unnecessary, so non-essential government employees weren't getting paid during the shutdown. And people got mad over it, that they weren't getting paid. And our country has manipulated people into being mad that people weren't getting paid with their stolen tax dollars. Taxation is theft. We have come to a point where we have been manipulated in this country that we are mad that we aren't getting stolen from to pay somebody else. It's theft, it's coercion. I don't understand how someone could be mad about that. Do they have real jobs? They have jobs, but the jobs they get paid for are paid by stolen tax dollars. It's not right for someone to get paid because we were forced to give up our money. If Apple did that, if Apple said, hey, Kate, give me $100 because I have to pay this employee over there, we'd be outraged. That'd be illegal. But the government can do it, and no one bats an eye. That's an issue.
What would you say to about the TSA? Let's say, for example, they were showing up without pay. That's pretty integral, right? If you're going to take a flight somewhere, you want someone there knowing, okay, these two planes are not going to crash because I'm on top of it, but they weren't paid. I mean, would you consider them essential or
air
non-essential?
Air traffic control is different than TSA.
Than TSA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are different.
Right.
I think it should be privatized.
Privatized.
It should be privatized. The TSA, that should be abolished. That shouldn't have even been a thing in the first place.
So you don't think people, TSA going through and making sure you weren't taking
it shouldn't be government regulated.
Okay.
It shouldn't be government regulated. It should be privatized. If United Airlines or Frontier wanted people to be checked and go through that security before they went on their plane, they hired private individuals, a private company to do it, all for it. That's fine. But it should not be government mandated. It goes back to gun control. It's the same thing. If private sellers of firearms and private gun stores want background checks or restrictions, that's fine. Don't have it government mandated.
Let's get to some more questions here. How do you, we asked that, but do you think Alex Jones is being treated unfairly? Because he's been blocked now from a lot of social media platforms, correct?
Everything but Instagram.
Do you think that that's fair or unfair?
It's unfair because now he doesn't have a chance to defend himself when people are lying about him being a crazy conspiracy theorist. A lot of things he ends up saying end up being true. Not everything, but most things, especially I know everyone, when they hear InfoWars, they think of gay frogs. If you look into it, it's actually a liberal professor from Berkeley that found out that chemicals in the water are actually changing the physiology of amphibians and fish. And as a biology major, you learn that this stuff happens. They can change their body structure and everything that goes on in their reproductive system by hormones.
12 million views on a video not even 10 days old. How many do you think it's actually 12 million? Give me an idea on what you, when you look at these numbers, do you think that they're 100% legit? Because we always hear this thing about bots, or we hear about, I mean, do you think it's 12 million people?
On Twitter? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If it's Twitter, I think the views are real. Because people are outraged. Actually, something that I actually do too, because I know it will outrage people, is I put in there, a lot of people attack me by saying I don't have a real job or get a real job. So I put in my caption, get a real job. So what do people do? They share my video because they say, she says get a real job, but she doesn't have a real job. I know what makes them mad, and I'm able to control how they react to me to where they share my video. More people are hearing my message. It's kind of like a 3D chess that Trump is always doing. That's kind of my small mini version of it. So now my video has 11, 12 million views, and I gained, I think, 3,000 followers out of it. So you have to play their game against them. They get outraged, I gain followers, more people hear my message.
We talked a little bit before about how you deal with trolls, because you do get a lot of negativity. What do you say to the people that say you kind of troll people?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say to that? That's
fine. I mean, I'm not complaining about the trolls that come on my page or whatever. I think it's fine. A lot of people, there's troll groups on Facebook. Like I said before, I said if people ask about a couch, it's because it's getting trolled. I used to be a part of those groups that would go and ask people how much their couch is for sale. It's funny. Trolling is just funny. And yeah, I do it. I don't care if other people do it either, because it's just the internet. If you get so hung up on what the internet's doing, what people on the internet are doing, trying to get a reaction out of you, you're gonna have a bad time.
How much responsibility do you feel like you have when it comes to getting information out there? You're making a video, and I mean, you know, when I go back to my training as a journalist and the ethics classes I had to take and what you do, what kind of code do you go by?
To be truthful, one, to tell the truth,
okay,
and two, to be myself. I have no responsibility to anybody else to make sure I filter my words or I sugarcoat something. I have a responsibility to myself to be me. And we want to talk about feminism and tolerance. That is the most, that is the number one thing you can do to empower women and to support feminism, is to support women being their true self and saying whatever they want. I'm not saying that I shouldn't have consequences if I say something wrong or if I treat someone badly. That's fine. They can get outraged and say it, but I had a girl yesterday tell me, if you're a reporter, you're a journalist, you have a responsibility to tell people things in a nice way. No, I don't. And that goes against anything about women empowerment. I can say what I want. I need to be true to myself, and I will always stand by that.
You talk about your mainstream media. This is not something that I think you're a big fan of, right? You've kind of been outspoken about that. What is it about mainstream media that you don't like? And is this mainstream media right now? Are we mainstream media?
No, this isn't, because you're having a real conversation with me and you're letting me respond. Mainstream media, Washington Post, even Fox News, CNN, all that stuff, all those mainstream sources that people go to that are, ranked in the top 10 on, website ratings or whatever, those are the people who will not give you will not give you the facts and let you make up your mind. They tell you what to think before all the facts are out there. And
so you think they have an agenda?
Yes, I do. I think both sides have an agenda. CNN has an agenda. You could see reporters for CNN going after the Covington Catholic boys. They have an agenda. It's so blatant, and I mean, I'm glad they're not hiding it anymore, but I think it's sad that they feel so comfortable that they don't have to hide it.
So, you're Gen Z, right? If we get into this millennial and Gen Z.
I don't know where the line crosses. I don't call myself a millennial.
I think it almost changes every year.
Yeah.
Is this Gen Z journalism? Because I'm technically, I think, a millennial, right? And I'm kind of coming up, I think, on maybe the back end of an era and media that's kind of changing a lot, and you're kind of in this scope that's it's on the internet and it's different, and people are getting their information on Twitter now. Mm-hmm. They're not maybe coming to me to get it. Are you the new reporter? Are you going to take my job?
I don't. Maybe. I mean, we need more women in the workplace, right? No, I'm kidding. But it boils down to, I don't consider myself a journalist or a reporter. People go out there all the time making man-on-the-street interviews. That doesn't make them a reporter. Doesn't make them a journalist. For InfoWars, what I do is I make videos and I talk about my opinions. So, I mean, HuffPost opinion section just got shut down, which is super funny. But, I mean, are those people reporters? Or are those people journalists? I mean, if they are because they spread their opinion, then I guess I am too. But I don't know if this is the new reporting. If the new reporting is going out and exposing a prominent party in the United States that isn't actually tolerant, isn't actually anti-racist, isn't actually, pro-LGBT, then sure, let that be the new reporting, because those people need to be exposed for who they are.
Let's say you're 40 years old, 50 years old. When you look back, do you think you're going to have any regrets, or do you think you're going to be glad that you came up this way? I mean, because you're outspoken enough right now where it'd be hard to pivot anywhere, right? You're kind of out there. This is who I am. Do you think you have any regrets when you get older?
Nope. No. I have been given a once in a lifetime opportunity that so many people my age wish they had. They wish they had their own platform. They wish that they could walk down the street and people asked to take pictures with them, or get people to say, you inspired me to go out and get my CCW, you inspired me to go out and do this, or start a conservative club on campus. I've been given a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity just from being myself and taking a stand against the liberal agenda. And I have no regrets. I say every day, Justin gets kind of upset sometimes and he's like, delete your Twitter, I want to have a normal life. And I look at it and I'm like, no, I wasn't given a normal life, and I'm so happy that I wasn't, because I love what I do. I love that I'm able to inspire people, but I also love that I have so much control over people's emotion that I can, when I go out on a college campus, they flock to me. Whether they hate me, whether they love me, they're still thinking about me, and I'm able to drive them in droves, and they follow me around campus. That's empowerment. Talk about women empowerment. People caring so much about you one way or the other. They follow you around to hear what you have to say.
Do you think you change people's minds when you talk to them?
I think I do. I think I do.
I'm of the belief a lot of times people seek affirmation, not information.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people would come to you and be like, I hold her viewpoints, where maybe that somebody that doesn't hold your viewpoints wouldn't come to you. Do you feel like you get to people and get them to change their mind to yours?
I think I do, especially on gun rights, especially gun rights on college campuses. There's a lot of times where I just go out on campuses without the cameras and I just talk to people. And so many people will walk away saying, I didn't know that, or wow, that changes my mind. I at least get them to open up the idea that if you don't want a gun, that's fine, but don't tell Sally over here that she can't, because she wants to defend herself. If you don't want to have that means of self-defense, that's fine, but don't tell someone else they can't. And I think most times I get them to walk away with the thought of, I'm being a little selfish by saying my right to feel, you don't have a right to feel safe, but they believe that they do. My, want to feel safe overrides someone else's right to self-defense. I think they walk away with thinking a little bit about, I'm being selfish. But my goal isn't to change people's minds. And I've been super 100% clear about that from day one. My goal is to influence people who already think like me to take a stand and stand up for themselves. Because
so you're trying to bring people kind of out of maybe hiding or of maybe not speaking their opinion.
Yeah, because if I had someone like me there for me when I started college, I would have been doing this a lot sooner. But I was intimidated. I was scared. And once I finally got over that, I didn't care if people called me racist or a bigot or a homophobe. I stopped caring. And I just said what I wanted to say, and now I'm where I am now.
Do you play to that sometimes? I know there was a Newsweek article they wrote on you about milk.
Oh my God.
And you taking a drink of milk.
It's that 3D chess. So PETA came out and said that milk was a symbol of white supremacy. Ridiculous. The most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So what do? I reply to the tweet, drinking a gallon of milk, gain a couple thousand followers, have more people showing, reading my message, getting my opinions, getting their brain working, reading my stuff, and then they write articles. What does that article do? Prove that mainstream media and, these leftist sites are so ridiculous that they are actually reporting on a girl drinking milk. That is news. That's not news. It's exposing them for who they are, how ridiculous they are.
Would you say that was a troll job on you?
Yes. Yeah, that's trolling.
And people bought it and hooked it, and it was a total joke. And
yeah. If they think I'm a white supremacist because of that, they probably aren't smart in the first place, so I don't care.
Let's see if we got any other questions here before we wrap things up with Kaitlin Bennett on Let's Be Clear here. I'm going to try to go down through. Sometimes it's hard to get some questions on the fly. how do you have time to look at so many replies?
I don't really look at so many replies. I don't.
Do you look at any of them?
I only look at the replies on Instagram, sometimes Facebook, kind of depending on the topic, and I want to see what my followers are responding to. Twitter, I never look at Twitter replies. Never. I can't remember the last time.
You're someone that's out there in a polarizing country, very on one side, on all these platforms. Rank the platforms for me. What is the most, I think you started to a little bit ago, Twitter is the most negative?
Yeah, Twitter is the most negative. Instagram.
What type of negative things do you get on there?
Death threats, just people being super racist. I mean, Twitter is this haven for anti-white racism. And if you're thinking you can't be racist towards white people, yes, you can. That is literally the definition, just thinking that one race is superior to the other. It's a lot of anti-white racism. It's a lot of anti-conservative bigotry. It's all kinds of stuff against the right, against white people. And I can see it in my DMs. Literally cannot remember the last time I opened my request for DMs. I can't. He kind of manages all of that for me, my boyfriend, so I personally don't look at it. The only time I see something rude in my replies is if a friend screenshots it and sends it to me, and then we laugh about it. Instagram, like I said, it depends on who's finding my account and who's tagging me. Facebook is basically 95% support.
Facebook is very supportive of you. What would you say is the most that people get behind you on? Is it guns? You're known as the Kent State gun girl.
Yeah, no, it's guns. Yeah, that's what I'm known for.
You okay with that?
Yes. Yeah, if I say this all the time. If I want the whole world to know something about me, it's that I carry, because I will defend myself, and I can defend myself. I feel super safe when I walk around because I am known for advocating for the right to self-defense. And people mock me because, they're like, oh, I bet you're carrying. You're damn right I'm carrying, so don't mess with me. And they don't mess with me, and I guarantee you the only reason someone has not gone through with one of their threats is because they know that I am armed and I will defend myself.
I got one more for you. Some people who have been in some of your recent videos say that they're getting the death threats and they're getting the backlash on social media now because of that.
Oh, is it Russ?
Do you bear any responsibility in that?
No. I can't be responsible for every single one of my followers. I can disavow it. I don't think any of my followers should be sending anybody death threats.
Would you ever come out and tweet, or what is it, a gram or Facebook post and say, hey guys, thanks for supporting me, but let's leave these people alone, or do you encourage that?
No, I don't encourage it.
Okay.
I never have encouraged it. I say multiple times, I've spoken out recently in one of the videos, probably the same video we're talking about. There's this redhead guy that has been really butthurt because he came and started harassing me on a campus at NKU. And it didn't go the way he wanted it to go. It didn't go viral in the way that people were defending him. People saw the video, I put it up, and they saw for themselves that he was being super ridiculous. He acted like a soy boy, and so people called him out on it. No one should be sending him death threats. No one should be sending anybody death threats. But I'm not going to sit there and, say, oh, sorry, Russ, blah, blah, blah. No, his mom and dad, when this happens to people, their whole family starts messaging my followers, threatening them back. It's all just one big game. So I'm not responsible for what my followers do. I don't condone that type of behavior though, but I'm not responsible.
I got one more question for you. You carrying right now?
Yep.
Glad I didn't upset her. Kaitlin Bennett, guys, thanks for joining. Let's be clear. Kaitlin, thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you.
And taking some questions. Again, you can always go back on this. This is streamed live from its entirety, and then we'll have a cut-down version that airs later on TV, but this will always be here. Thanks for being a part of Let's Be Clear.
Nice.